In a galaxy far, far away. Jake.
Hey, wait. What? No. Sorry. What? We're talking about my show. Welcome back. It's me, I'm Mario, and my show, Don't Evolve Me, where Pikachu sucks. I hate Ash's Pikachu. And then I brought my guest back, Jake. How's it going today, Jake?
I guess I'm the guest.
What do you think? Guess he's the guest. He's always been the guest whenever I host. What are you talking about?
Oh,
I am now the host of the show. This is the different universe where it's hot as hell up here in the studio, and we're making Jake suffer for this episode. But welcome to the show. Right. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm surprised you came back to my show. That's great.
I should give you the outline then.
I have the outline. Where did you get the outline from?
I created it this morning.
Oh, sure you did. Oh, he's cute. Jake's cute. But anyway, he has his own outline. He has his own plan. But let's get to the show.
Cue the music.
Well, welcome back, Jake. So what are you nerding out on?
What?
That's it. We're just going to go right into it. It's my show. Let's get going.
You're not going to say, welcome to Don't Evolve Me?
No, I said that already. Don't you remember that?
Yeah.
Ash's Pikachu kind of sucks. He learns everything.
You got to say the thing. You got to say, welcome
This is my show. What are you doing?
You got to say, welcome to Don't Evolve Me.
No, we don't. No.
We're like Ash's.
My show.
Ash Ketchum's Pikachu. Remember, we don't evolve. We just
podcast.
Level up.
If you want to create your own podcast, Jake, you go create your own podcast. This is my podcast. What are you nerding out on?
You gotta intro people into it.
That is.
No, we have the cold open, and then it's the music, and then you gotta intro into it. What are we doing?
That's what we do with your podcast. I just go right for it. I shoot from the hip, and I'm like Han Solo. I'm amazing. I just do and go.
I mean, it's a good reference for Star Wars, but we're doing prequels.
Yeah, but
you gotta do a prequels reference. Shoot like the hip like Boba Fett. Snipe it from along like Boba Fett. No, that's Jango Fett. Wow, I ruined it.
Yeah, there you go. That's why I'm the host of the show.
Original.
Jake doesn't know shit. So you're talking to the person that knows the stuff, and the Han Solo one was good. The shoot from the hip. Everybody had to like that.
It's good. It's good. Just
Yeah, we
too
just
soon.
Do I have? No. It's my show. I do what I want.
Actually, the first thing is show me your socks / show me your wares.
What would you do if you were hosting the show? What would that intro look like?
You just listen to any other episode and you'll know.
Yeah, but this is my first episode anyway. We'll allow it. But I think we're gonna ask first, what are you nerding out on? It's already been asked.
All right, nerding out on. I've been the last how many episodes I've been talking about this is Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom. You just got back into it. Found out you can buy and build your own house, so I've been just doing that.
Oh no, it's like your Minecraft game all over again.
It is like Minecraft. I haven't played Minecraft in a while.
Impossible.
I just haven't.
Too big of Minecraft.
Yeah, you gotta take breaks.
That's fair.
Otherwise, Pokemon
So you can build your own house in Zelda? I haven't played it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because I don't really play video games during the summer. Summer's not the video game time for me. As soon as, October hits, that's when I do all my catch-up in the 7 months of cold that we live here. The miserable. Just like this studio right now. Except
warm.
opposite.
All right, what have you been nerding out on?
Oh, for me, biggest nerd out thing is this time of year. I'm always got the nickname Nature Boy. I'm always out going out for hikes and seeing water and stuff like that.
Nice.
I've been going out more and more, trying to see new places.
Coolest thing you've seen this summer?
The coolest thing I've seen this summer, I think it's going to be I scaled a mountain that was 70 degrees.
Oh, wow.
So a true scale of a mountain, but it was 70 degrees at the tip tilt, but it was, I can't show you guys a picture, I guess, what that looks like. And kind of climbing up the rock platform for a couple thousand feet was pretty cool.
Nice.
The other coolest thing I've probably seen was just I don't know, me in the mirror. You ever seen that? That's pretty cool.
Oh man. All right,
that didn't get you. I don't know. You guys can leave the podcast right then and there because that was great.
Well, show me your wares. We're both lacking this because I don't really. You have your socks. What's your socks?
Oh, the show me my wares.
Yeah.
I thought this is my show. I'm supposed to ask you. Show me your wares. That's right, Jake didn't wear Jack.
Nope, I brought out the lightsabers.
Yeah,
I got some Darth Vader comics.
He did bring up the lightsabers.
I got all the prequel characters that I have for Pops. Technically, Baby Yoda was during the prequels.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
You got Concept Yoda, Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Chewbacca. I think that's the only ones that really.
But he's not wearing any of that. Trash Panda. Ugh.
He's
wearing a Rex 100 shirt. I don't even know what that even means. Granite Company.
Oh, it's the company my dad works for.
From 1921 to 2021. They must have went under or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like they died.
Well, they make gravestones, so it's fitting.
Oh, 100 years. 1921 to 2021.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
All right.
Rex 100. Gotcha.
Should we get into the news?
We need to talk about my socks.
All right. Tell me your socks.
Hey, you calm down. This is my show. Don't you forget it today. My socks are... anybody know that character named Bingo? Where he's from? Any guesses?
Bingo?
Do you know where Bingo's from?
No.
Oh, I have socks that Jake wouldn't even understand. Bingo? Dino DNA? You know Bingo?
Mm-mm.
You know the DNA little dude? From Jurassic
familiar.
Park? Bingo?
Oh, nice.
And it's all about that dino DNA. And then they go through that weird, video montage. And then the little bingo guy.
That's a deep dive sock.
It is, but it's awesome.
All right,
that guy's pretty
you want to
cool.
move us on for a news quickie? Actually, I already have
No. What are you talking... Jake, it's news to me. This is my show. So... News to me. We got all sorts of topics. I think Jake's going to run with it, though. So
Yeah, I got them all. All right. Witcher 3, Volume 1 and Volume 2 is out. And apparently it's very disappointing. I haven't watched it.
Well, I mean, I've watched Volume 1. Not 2 yet, because obviously, it just came out.
For Season 3?
Yeah. I watched Volume 1.
What did you think of Volume 1? I haven't watched it. I actually haven't watched Season 2. I'm behind.
I think you can tell that Henry Cavill didn't agree what was going to happen.
Okay.
And they faded The Witcher off a little bit this season, I think, more than what could have been more about The Witcher. So I kind of agree why Henry Cavill stepped out, which you can also see in his acting a little bit, though. Which also goes in the other characters, what aren't as, I mean, they're good.
Apparently he was disappointed that the stories being told weren't, part of the books and the games.
Yeah. They're going off their own path a little tangent, and that stresses me out.
Yeah, it's one of the... I heard that, I'm like, wait, why? You have all this great source material. Why are you telling your own story?
And they're telling their own love story and connection rather than the actual story of The Witcher, which... and The Witcher and Ciri and all that stuff. So it's... I can see why Henry Cavill was like, yeah, this isn't The Witcher. This is not how you should be taking it and why you would want to step off the project. Was it horrible, though? Was it like, oh, this is trash? No, I don't think that. It's still entertaining, but I can definitely see where he was like, deuces.
Yeah.
I don't agree. And which makes me respect. I don't know if everybody knows Henry Cavill's a huge nerd, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I like it. I like that an actor's like, no, I'm not going to do this project if you're not going to be faithful to the source material. I'm all fine and dandy for shows that take their own path and tell their own story. Yep. As long as it makes the lore of what you're telling better. Last of Us.
If it enhances kind of some of the lore, or you bring more aspects into it.
Oh, I mean,
visualizing the world a little bit more than a video game could.
Me and Brandon mentioned this in the podcast we did earlier this week, where we were talking about Invincible, how they changed up the story around a little bit, and how they changed up the story added to the show. It made it better. Instead of telling the big twist with Omni-Man, they didn't wait how many episodes to do it. They told it right away. But instead of being a shock reveal, like in the comics, which the comics did a good job of it. But they made it more of a, hey, audience, you know what's up. But the whole season's about this moment. Like, it builds up the intensity. Like, hey,
exactly.
The most powerful man on Earth is actually there to conquer it.
That's why I don't mind when Marvel sometimes goes off script or at the beginning. They're getting a little weird now.
Well, like Civil War. Like, it's like the movie. Did literally its own story, just kept the theme of the comic, and arguably told a better story than it did in the comics.
Yeah.
The story of the Civil War isn't great. The premise is what's amazing.
Yeah, and they pulled that off really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's why The Witcher, it's tougher when you're so far off the story. It's kind of mood killy. I mean, especially when you know the background, you know why he's leaving too. I don't think that helps people's viewing perspective. That's why I think they're giving a little bit worse rating than what it was. But I still thought it was pretty decent. I'd give it a 3+. I mean, you haven't seen it yet, so
yeah. Witcher.
I'm gonna watch season 4 with Liam, just because Henry's gone. I know I shouldn't because I really like Henry.
I want to watch it. But the first season I watched was such a weird way of like narrative structure.
Yeah,
like,
it's
Like, it didn't make sense. I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. I'm like, every episode I just kind of treat, instead of like being this narrative season where like it all builds.
Yeah, different time lapse pulling together at the end is nice.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I'm like, after playing Witcher 3, I really want this, like, the story and more Witcher, but then hearing, season 2 started season 2, was very bored by it.
But y'all, let's talk about something more exciting.
All right.
News to me, not yours, my show.
I got the next.
The Boys trailer. Ayo!
Wait, did that come out today? The Boys.
It was like yesterday or something like that. The teaser trailer? How dare you?
I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it.
See, this is why it's my show exactly. I know about the good stuff you guys want to hear about. I am the show. I'm the great creator of Bringing Beans.
All right.
How has he not watched this, guys? Light him up in the comments. Go get this guy. Put him on blast.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited for it. The Boys. Whenever it does come out, I'm excited for it. All right. Another show that's out. It just came out with your boy Anthony Mackie, a.k.a. the Falcon, a.k.a. Captain America.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal is out on Peacock.
Yeah, if only I had all these streaming services.
And apparently it's great.
Dang it, I don't have Peacock.
I think I'm going to watch it.
That's my boy.
I think I'm actually going to watch it.
I love Anthony Mackie. Oh, man.
Because Twisted Metal is such a, just like, it apparently goes through, it's like a zany story. It's like a buddy comedy a little bit. I'm like, all right, I actually want to watch that movie.
Share your Peacock login with me. Before you can lose that ability like Netflix, I need to watch it.
I'm going to skip this one because we're going to lead into it. Barbie's doing great at the box office.
Oh, what happened to Oppenheimer? Barbie is doing great.
Oppenheimer does seem good. I think I'm going to wait on that one. Barbie, I'm intrigued by the concept of Barbie. It reminds me of the Lego movie.
It does remind me of the Lego movie, and it sounds really exciting and entertaining, but Oppenheimer, man, the history of World War at the bomb.
It seems exciting.
How dare you? How does that sound more exciting than that?
Barbie dominated. But I see a lot of like
that's because people look at the history and stuff. They're like blah 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 blah. New, funny, good, casual. Like I was like all for the history of World War II, and I'm a huge history buff and that kind of Sarah.
Speaking of bombs, DC is about to drop one. Blue Beetle is predicted to bomb at the box office for a third straight movie. I think everyone saw this coming. I think even if the last two movies
My mind is so blown right now. I couldn't see this coming. Who knew? Did you watch that Flash movie?
I did.
That was garbage.
You thought I gave it a 4-.
The what?
Yeah. I thought it was great up until the end. He's just blank staring at me.
This needed a moment of silence. That movie was trash.
Holy smokes. It got there. I thought it was great. I watched The Flash before Across the Spider-Verse. So I actually appreciated their multiverse
Maybe because you did that. I did the reverse concept. I watched the Spider-Verse, then I watched The Flash, and I was like, whoa, this is...
But we watched Across the Spider-Verse first.
Yeah.
Together. And after watching that movie, I think I even made the comment to you. I'm like, Oh, I understand why people think The Flash is trash because this movie's so fucking good. This movie just like blows you out of the water with its multiverse tale, and The Flash does some cheap nostalgic bullshit.
Yeah, The Flash had way too much nostalgia that gives way too much love. Like, but Keaton is Batman, all that. And it was like, did he act as Batman? His acting Batman was horrible. It was a horrible Batman. There's nothing good came out of that movie.
They could have done more. I don't know. I thought like for the expectations I had.
Where was the Reverse Flash and all this? Like they're like, no, it's him. It's fine. Like what? You could have just made a Reverse Flash villain.
It had no Flash villain.
Yeah, that just two Flashes trying to change history of the past to keep his like. The whole thing is flawed.
Ezra Miller, who should have been canceled.
Yep.
Actually did a fucking good job in that movie. Like he made me feel something.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah.
We have a different view on that.
All right, moving on. We can talk Flash in a whole different episode.
Yeah, different episode.
All right, TMNT. I did watch that trailer. Did you watch that one?
I did watch that trailer.
It looks good. You don't think so?
I'm hesitant just because there's...
I mean, I'm hesitant too, but it
claymation kind of weird.
The animation is weird, but we also thought Spider-Verse was kind of weird, and it was great.
That's where I'm like, maybe it's good.
I think they're really copying Spider-Verse. However, like I think it makes sense because TMNT is technically based off the comics, and I like that they're using their comics as reference.
Yeah, which I think should be a good reference. That's why I don't mind it. And then you get to see what they're doing with the Spider-Verse. Like that, just like, man,
amazing.
You gotta wait till March. Are you kidding me?
All right, last
maybe
one.
Later.
And this is going to tie into our thoughts. We really got to get to Star Wars, though. Secret Invasion is done. And MCU is continuing to underwhelm in Phase 4 and 5.
I don't understand why. This one had so much potential. A good start. I liked it. It was very dark and gritty. It had a story they could have built. And then again, just they kind of Mandalorian it. They're like, yeah, we can go all these directions.
They went like the laziest route, it seems like.
They went super lazy.
Like, at least story-wise, narrative. Like, they just went lazy.
I did like
that. They did 6 episodes. It's kind of like, hey, we're doing a thing. And it's like, hey, okay.
What's it about? What's exciting? What's the story? You can get a decent... Then they set up the story, and they do the basic... Yes, basic.
Well, if someone's like, hey, there's going to be Super Skrulls, someone you know is going to die, multiple people you know is going to be replaced by Skrulls, and we're going to completely...
it was predictable.
Take the power structure and we're going to change the power hierarchy in the MCU. Yeah. You'd be like, God, and also Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury is the lead. You'd be like, God damn, I'm in. And yet, it's just like you watch and you're like, oh. Okay.
It was so predictable.
It's kind of, I'm just like, meh. Like I'm like 2+ maybe.
Yeah, this is where I go with like that. And
maybe a 3-.
Kevin Feige and stuff like that. I think it's getting too much in his head already. He's trying to create something too big, and maybe just got to take a step back. And they are. Bobby, you're talking about this, the CEO of Disney.
Yeah.
They're talking about stepping back from the shows and doing movies and really focusing on making a great product again, which I think is needed to have done.
It needs. Yeah, I don't mind the TV shows if they know how to do
like
it.
Loki was phenomenal.
Loki was borderline
Shut up
great.
And get out of my show.
Borderline great.
How dare you?
Not great episode to episode. Like WandaVision, I think is still peak.
Oh, they could have done so much with that. That's what disappoints me too. They set it up so well, and they started off really hot with that show.
Loki could have been a lot more too.
They set it up with WandaVision, and they kind of like.
But that's the bad part about it. They peaked with their first show.
Yeah, well, they set up that show too good, and then they kind of ended that show pretty poorly too, though.
Yeah, well,
they set it up really well, and they're kind of like, ha. The one thing about Marvel right now is they're doing too many psychs.
Yeah.
Like, it's this psych, just kidding. You think it's going to be this. Haha, we're going to go the other way.
We're going to hype you up.
We're going to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, you do have to cater to the fans if you want to keep it growing and keep people happy, because there's a certain level of expectation you have now in your stories and your building. Your stories were so good. Now we need a really, really great story if you aren't going to tell us what we want as fans. And that's why I think Marvel is getting a bad rap. I don't think they're actually as terrible as people are like, oh, this is the worst crap I've ever seen. The show was still entertaining. I was still excited to watch it. It did the job, but I think overall, if you're looking for how good it could have been versus what it was, it just could have been so much better.
Could have been easily a better.
Wasn't like, this is horrible, I can't stand watching that again.
This should have been the show. Like, this should have been the best Marvel show.
Oh, this show could have been amazing.
Should have been.
And that's where this one came so underwhelming. And then the She-Hulk.
The whole...
No, let's not even talk about that one.
The whole, like... the idea of like, oh, why don't you call your superhero friends? And he's like, I gotta do this personally. It's like, no, it's because you guys don't want to pay the money to treat the superheroes, but you kind of just needed the fucking superheroes as like side characters.
Yeah.
Like you need more than just Rhodey.
Rhodey was a very interesting side character to choose too.
Like this was
and you could easily tell from the beginning that wasn't the real Rhodey. Just the way he's acting, like, well, that's definitely a Skrull.
yeah, he was very cocky and
Yeah,
mean
Rhodey's never been like that. He's always been more diplomatic.
Yeah, I mean, I called it before even seeing the show. I'm like, Rhodey's a Skrull. He's the only important person there.
Yep.
Like
It's going to be someone important. I did like the
Skrull.
MI6 lady, though. She was cool.
She was good. She was the best
She
character in
was
the show.
badass, and I loved the crap out of her, and I need more of her. That's what I found out from that show.
All right.
But anyway.
We need to get to Star Wars, the prequels.
Yeah, we do. Star Wars, the prequels.
Episode 1, 2, and 3. I'll talk a little bit about the Clone Wars, but we're not going to dive deep because that's a whole new episode. We'll dive into it, though.
Really?
We won't dive into it. I'll
We're
talk
supposed to do
about
episode
it.
1, 2, and 3. I thought that was the thing.
Yeah,
It was my show.
I watched the
show.
I watched the last 3 episodes of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And because it ties into Revenge of the Sith, that's why.
I suppose, right? You got to
right.
go that route.
So the prequels I feel like gets a really bad rap.
I feel like they do, too. I think they're better than what people give credit for. Maybe that's just me. Maybe
I think it's
my era I
a
grew
little
up in.
deserved. Someone's like, "Oh, this is pure trash." I'm like, "No, it's not trash. They're not necessarily good movies, but they have a great quality to them that I think people don't really look at." So here's prequels as a whole: bad effects, bad writing, mostly good acting, but some bad acting.
Have you seen the kid in the first one?
Some bad acting.
Yeah.
But overall, what I really liked about this, especially when we compare it to like the sequel trilogy,
Yep.
the lore building in these 3 episodes, phenomenal.
Yeah, they definitely built out the world a lot better.
And I will say,
what adds to the lore of Star Wars are really good in these 3 movies, and I think that goes undersold a lot.
and they're also just kind of fun. They have their fun moments. There's a lot of boring parts in between, but there's some fun moments where they're like, "Yep, I'm ready for this," you know?
Yep.
Especially when you watch it again, like it's probably like the 5th or 6th time I watch these films.
Yeah.
Like it's like the things you look up to. And one of the things I really like this, because I was looking it up Wikipedia wise, like the plot and stuff, just so I can like put 2 and 2 together with the film.
Yep.
But one of the things they could like wrote on there is it's a space opera. And I'm like, that is the perfect way to describe the prequels, as a space opera. It's very Shakespearean, where it's like you have your scenes and then you have your characters and they're all just talking. They're talking about the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really miss that. I miss that about Star Wars, where they just talk politics of the Star Wars world. I don't know why. That's something that just intrigues me. But like the new movies, the new sequel movies,
Didn't talk about that much.
not really there. Not great at lore building.
Yeah,
I will say this though, the writing isn't great. So there's some scenes that we'll dive into that isn't great. But overall, I like how Shakespearean these movies were.
Very much so.
So, but I'll say this too: reading the plot on Wikipedia is a lot more exciting than watching the films.
Yeah, isn't that sad?
you read the Wikipedia plot and you're like, God damn, this is good. This is exciting. And then you watch it and you're like, you don't quite realize what's happening when it's happening, because like they don't the directing doesn't quite like
Line up.
yeah, like they
Very
don't
well,
they
yeah.
don't like tell you like, hey, this is pivotal, like, oh hey, we'll get into it. And also just like when they add characters to like the next episode that are like big characters but are like, wait, where were they in the other film? For example, Count Dooku is a really big piece
right.
for episode 2, but he's not in episode 1. So when like, oh, Count Dooku betrayed the Jedi, the Jedi, you're like, wait, who the fuck's Count Dooku?
Yeah, who is this guy?
Or General Grievous is attacking. Like, wait, who the fuck is General Grievous? Like, this is where the Clone Wars is really, really good. Like, show.
A good backfill in a lot of those areas,
it
right?
it fills in all these characters. All right, so episode 1, we'll go there. Should we go ratings first before we
Ratings
talk about
first.
Okay. What do you give this?
I think we go rating first, I guess. I was thinking of rating first. Well, you're going to let me start. I'm gonna give it. This one gets a lot of bad rap for the kid and the acting, which I think if you could put that aside to the story of Qui-Gon.
I don't think you could put any of it aside. You have to take it all as a whole.
Yeah, take it all as a whole. I'm putting it aside for my rating because I think this movie's better than I think a lot of people give it poop on it for what it was. I mean, that's why I put it as a 2+. But I don't know.
I originally was going to give it a 2+ also.
Okay, thank God.
However,
gonna be like a 1.
However, I changed it to 2 for this reason alone. I know for a fact it's not a great film, and a 2+ is when I'm like bordering, like it's kind of a great film. No, it's not a great film. It's a myth film. It's just not like it's like one of those myth films that are actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it is a fun film, but also
So that's I'll read to what I have. I want to say it's a 2+, but it's not a good film. It's not a good film to watch. Fun moments again, but tough to say it's a good film. I literally just wrote that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The opening credits. So just imagine, I know like we were really young when this came out. It was 1999. I was 6. You were like 4.
4, baby.
So like none of us were. I didn't watch it in theaters. My parents were really into Star Wars. Now they are.
My parents aren't into it at all.
But just imagine like going to theaters. You like huge Star Wars fan. You see the originals. You're ready for that title crawl to come down. The first thing is taxation, baby. We're dealing with taxes and trade like conflicts. Like, wait, what? You know, you're ready to go talk about bad guys versus good guy, Jedi versus the Sith. You know, blue lightsabers versus red lightsabers. That's what you signed up for. Nah, we get taxes.
Yeah, the political.
And it's actually not bad. I don't mind it because like a lot of real world conflicts deal with tax.
Yeah,
like,
I mean a lot of it comes to politics down to Star Wars
revolution,
anyway, right?
taxes.
Yeah.
Trading, like those issues, like hey, we're gonna block trading from you. We're not gonna trade from you anymore. Okay, well now I don't. You know, this country doesn't get the resource. It makes sense why there's conflict.
Yeah.
But it's not that exciting.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not depth enough to cause this weird hierarchical change that they're trying to set forth, in my opinion.
But I actually also at the same time like it. It's such a change of pace from the original trilogies, but I like the fact that like the lore building, this feels realistic. This feels like this is happening in Star Wars. You know, like, hey, we got to make some negotiations. Let's send in our tough guys, the Jedi. That's where the movie starts off.
Yep.
So, opens with taxation, exciting stuff. What are some of the things that you really enjoyed of this film? Like, to begin with, the beginning.
Beginning part of the film?
Yeah, I just wrote a bunch of, like, for my list, I just made a bunch of bullet points of the points of the film.
Well, I was saying just kind of how they you know, if you look at the 3 original films, how they start to expand out the world at the beginning a little bit to try to give you more of a scope of the actual, when they say a galaxy far, far away, and now then you expand on what this galaxy is far, far away. I think it's kind of a nice and a good appeasement to like, all right, we're in the world, we're getting a little bit more of it here. And then I do like, which sounds terrible because the politics, I do like the idea of the political imbalance that's starting to occur. It's very small and subtle towards what it ends at the end. But it's nice to see like these worlds are in a communication, and seeing that communication across is neat and different. So those are the points I like.
This is where like
I don't like.
This is where like the plot is exciting because you read the plot of it, where hey, the Trade Federation is now invading Naboo.
Yep.
And so are you like they're not they have issue with taxes. The Republic sends in the Jedi. It doesn't go well. Darth Sidious is like, kill them for reasons.
Of course.
And then he's like, all right, we got to invade Naboo now. We got to move our plans ahead. Like, that's exciting. Because you're like, oh, there's shit happening. Like, or
it's disagreements.
Real world stuff. It's just not shown well. It's not exciting.
It doesn't show the disagreements very well to the core, like how it got so divided, which is kind of what you'd hope for in that kind of movie. Or in the whole setup. You want to see more of, like, what's causing this concrete divide. Like, if you go back to any great leader or great emperor that takes over, there's definitely something that they're doing that could be like, oh, That's fucked up. You know? And at the beginning, it doesn't really portray like, yeah, that's messed up.
This film is weird because it's like, it's not the Clone Wars. It's like a whole separate thing. It's a whole separate conflict. And I'm like, I feel like you could have found Anakin at a different spot in his life. But I do like that they told the story of like how Anakin was discovered.
Yep.
So they go to Naboo. They meet up with Jar Jar Binks, which you're good. It was really interesting when Jar Jar came on because this is the movie Scott watched. It's the first one. He didn't watch the rest of them, but he did watch the first one. And his first thought was, that character's weird. He said it just like that. As soon as Jar Jar Binks come on, he's like, that character is weird. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, that character was designed for you. Like it was designed for children, and then the child that could pay attention to the show is like, no, I don't like him.
Yep.
I thought I forget the actor's name. Ahmed. I forget the actor.
Ahmed Best.
Yeah, Ahmed Best. He gets a lot of hate for Jar Jar, but I will say Jar Jar was a misstep for characters, and I do like how in the next couple films that he's just there. He's not like a big character like he is in this one. Yeah,
the Jar Jar Binks was just in there for comedic relief for children to give them something to laugh at. And
guess who didn't laugh at Jar Jar?
Scott.
And my child did not laugh at Jar Jar.
He was a horrible written character. And the amount of death threats that Ahmed Best got for playing the character, I think he actually played the character pretty well.
I mean, he did the job well. It's just not like, it's not good writing.
Horrible writing, yes. Yeah. Very much so.
I mean, even Jake Lloyd, the guy...
Jar Jar Sith Lord to be sweet.
Jake Lloyd, the kid at the time, and he's now an adult, who played Anakin. Like, he got a lot of hate, too, for playing Anakin the way he did. And, like, he's just a kid.
He was 10.
Like I don't even, like, mind Jake Lloyd. I think his writing is what really is annoying, you know?
Yep.
So let's talk about him some more. So I thought... Opens with taxation, not as exciting. The first Maul fight. Darth Maul. Should we go with Darth Maul that route? Or should we wait on Darth Maul?
Darth Maul. Man, Darth Maul is like the person that saves this movie.
Does he, though? I thought Darth Maul was very, very underwhelming. Until the end.
Yeah, but he's still... I mean, for how long Darth Maul was on screen and stuff, too... It wasn't very like a...
Like that first fight was awful. They're in Tatooine. He's fighting Qui-Gon Jinn. You go zoom, 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 jump, gone. And like the jump doesn't even make sense.
But it doesn't really talk. That's what I like about it.
Darth Maul? Oh, I thought him not talking is horrible. I want to know more about Darth Maul. I
want to know more about him. That's exactly what made me creepy. Like, who is this character? And then they kill him at the end. You're like, mother.
Yeah. I think Darth Maul, like, if they wanted to kill him off like they did, they should have told the story better of Darth Maul.
They should have told it. Yeah, that's the one thing I do
more
miss.
Scenes between Sidious and Darth Maul, what they're playing, what they're doing, the training.
I think that's why I like Darth Maul so much. He's such an unknown character still. I mean, there's a little bit more if you go to the TV shows.
And then Clone Wars just made him awesome.
Yeah.
Same with
Well, he was an unknown character, and then Clone Wars made him awesome. So then you see him in his movies now, and you're like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. The effects were awful.
Yes. It's also 1999.
It is 1999.
But it felt like a 1980s movie.
It looked like a video game.
Y'all seen Top Gun?
It looked like a video game from that era. Actually, It looked like a video game from like the Nintendo 64. It was fucking awful.
They tried to take from what they did in the 80s, and they're like, well, let's try to amp it up a little bit, and they went a little too far.
They went all CGI, which is bad. They should, like, the practical effects that they did for the original trilogy looks great. It still looks great to this day.
It holds up well, and they try to go way too much CGI in this movie, which I agree with.
It is awful.
They try to do the new tech. It is Star Wars. It was supposed to be techie.
I mean, I'm all for new tech. It's just this movie, it doesn't hold up well. Like the other two movies don't hold up well. This movie is the worst of all. It makes sense. It's the oldest one. Kid Anakin is... I think he's all right. I think he gets a lot more hate than people hate him on.
Yeah, I don't think he's that bad.
I don't think Jake Lloyd did an awful job. I don't think he did a great job, but I don't think he did an awful job. He's also just a kid.
I think it could have been the directing that could have helped him a little better too, or just...
Yeah. I also just think Kid Anakin, like, the writing is just very unbelievable.
Yep.
Like, it was just hard to believe that this kid can do this. Like, I know Anakin's supposed to be great. Like, Anakin's a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Like, people complain about Rey being a Mary Sue. Anakin Skywalker is a Mary Sue.
Yes.
Especially for this movie. And I don't like using that term because I feel like it takes away. But here's the thing. Pod racing, right? Never built a pod before. Like, he's been working on a pod for... Years. Finally builds it.
Drives it like...
So many things go wrong and then somehow wins the race. It's kind of like... Yeah, I know he's... Sure, we can say he's a great pilot, but like, with what piloting experience does he have?
None. Like, he just hasn't flown jack.
He hasn't flown this yet. It's also like Luke Skywalker. I'm gonna be a pilot, okay, and he's a great pilot. I get the Force helps you out, and so it gives you like a little bit of advantage,
but not that much.
Also,
he was getting smoked.
Also,
thing didn't work at the beginning. Thing was
why,
trashy.
Anakin's the reason why they beat the Trade Federation in the first place.
Yep.
Like, he accidentally goes to space. He takes controls over and then accidentally blows up the control ship of all the droids.
Yep.
Like, it's a little too far-fetched for me.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not a very well-written backstory for Anakin. Like, how is he so smart?
If Anakin was like, you know what, fuck Qui-Gon Jinn, I'm going to go fight. I'm in a ship, I'm going to go fight. All right, you know, like a little bit more belief. And like, he actually tried to do these things and he like succeeds. Still hard to believe, but at least like, it's not coincidental. You're like, oh, okay, this kid's a fucking badass. Mary Sue, but a fucking badass at least.
Yep.
But no, he accidentally does it. He accidentally saves the day. It's like, okay, this is not great. Another thing I have about this this movie that confuses me is Padme and her other like queens that replaced her. I oftentimes just like, wait, is this the queen or Padme? Like, I get confused. And when the queen, like not Padme, but the queen that's like supposed to be Padme, like, her acting is so stiff. I'm like, is this purposeful or is this like just this bad?
Yes.
Welcome to Naboo. I can't even do it right. Like,
no kidding. No,
like, I'm like, are you trying to be this person? Like, are you trying to be so stiff in the acting? Because it's so bad, it seems like it's purposeful.
Yeah, I really want to know what their budget was for this movie. Maybe they spent it all on CGI or something. But like, if you think of some of the acting like that, it's pretty terrible. But if you think of some of the other good acting, like, I think some other characters made up for some of the very, very poor kid acting. I think the kid acting in this movie,
that's forgivable.
It's forgivable at least. So let it. That's probably what they're thinking. Like, it's good enough. The adults will carry it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Makes it tough to watch though. It really does.
It's hard. I know. Like, I know Sapphire when watching. So this is a bad acting. I'm like. Yeah.
Have you seen Obi-Wan Kenobi and the 10-year-old they couldn't catch?
Wait, what?
Just as bad. That one.
Oh, we'll talk.
Young Padme.
Yeah.
You know, man. That was horrible acting, horrible all the way around, and they still let that one go. Like, you guys didn't watch that? It was garbage.
Young Leia.
Yeah, young Leia.
Running away. Oh god, that scene was so awful.
Yeah, that was like the worst. That's what that Star Wars #1, which is more forgivable in 1999 than it is in 2020.
Right. Let's talk about the fun moments. All right,
fun moments.
Let's get to the positive aspects, because this movie is bad. This movie's it's a bad film. It's a myth film. But this movie's also a lot of fucking fun. There's a lot of moments where I'm like, yes. Like, I rate this. We'll talk about the other movie, but I like this movie maybe a little bit more. Not saying it's better, but there's just more fun moments. Liam Neeson.
Oh, yes.
He's just great in this film. Like, it's
Qui-Jin. So good.
Qui-Gon
Jinn, yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn is just he's a fascinating character that I wish we got more of, because, like...
No kidding. Like, the way he thinks about stuff, too. He's very,
He's not bounded by the Jedi code.
But he's a Jedi.
He's a Jedi who's, like, more gray Jedi territory. He more thinks of, like, what's the right thing to do, not what's the Jedi thing to do. And I love that as a character, and I wish they would explore that more.
Yeah, I wish... That's why, like, when his character was done, I was like, oh, that was, like, your best character.
Yeah.
Like, the way he was so gray. Granted, he did
He was the MVP of this. I would say MVP. We should do MVPs.
Yeah.
He's the MVP. Qui-Gon
Jinn,
the MVP, Liam Neeson, sure. MVP of this movie. Like, he's the best part.
He even talked about the difference between the two, and, like, his rationale was purely for the greater good.
Yeah.
Versus a Jedi rationale, which I thought was a very interesting Jedi-like character to have, and show the Jedi as more oh, we are the leaders of the people kind of feeling.
Yeah,
it
like,
gave me a,
he doesn't view the Jedi as like the good. He views them as like what they are. Like, he sees good in them, but he's not like, they're not just like what they say is good.
Yep.
It's not like, it kind of twists the whole idea of like good versus bad, Jedi versus Sith, like the black and white narrative.
Exactly.
He is like the first character that kind of goes in that gray area. I mean, Han Solo to an extent, but this is the one that like philosophy explores that idea.
Yep.
Pod racing.
That was fun.
That was great. Bad Batch did a pod racing episode, and I was kind of like, this is fine, but this isn't like, this is great. The pod racing episode 1 is a classic. It is like legendary. I don't even
made a
know
whole
if
game based off this thing. Like, are you kidding me?
It's not even like
It's pretty good.
it wasn't like the best scene, but I'm like, it was just an exciting thing to watch. Like, I'm like, this is cool. This is I don't believe Anakin should have won at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it was very unbelievable. It's just to watch the pod racing, the idea of it, the ideology behind the pod racing was great. This little 10-year-old kid showing up like that. All right, that was a little bit weird, but
yeah, pod racing on Tatooine. I'm like, we need more of that. Mandalorian, get a pod racing episode. Get Din Djarin in there.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Din, when we talk about pilots, like Din, I feel like would be a pod racer and like
he would be an amazing pod racer who doesn't use the Force.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the whole, humans can't do it because they can't react fast enough, but Jedi can do it. And I'm like, I don't know, Din Djarin's pretty fucking good.
You seen that guy fly? That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh, what do you think about the whole midi-chlorians thing? They don't talk about it anymore, but they brought it up, and that's what George Lucas originally wanted, was midi-chlorians to be the explanation of the Force.
Yeah.
I didn't like it either. I'm like, it kills the
mystery.
The mythicism.
Mythicism, yeah. Mythicism.
Yeah, I can't.
Whatever you want to call it, right? Mystery, mythicism. It's just like the over, like the glow of what it is. Or
like, you're making it scientific, which I understand if you want to explain it more, it makes sense. Or like if you're like trying to test like Jedi abilities, I mean, like, I get it. But you're killing kind of the idea of the Force as this like
overbearing decider of the world of balance.
All this natural thing. Like, nope, it's these bugs.
Quantifying that probably should have never been done.
No,
that's just my opinion.
It's just one of those races. Like, it's when you're, what's the word for it? Like, yes, it's his baby, it's his project, but it's like, no, George, everyone disagrees with midi-chlorians. Just
let it go.
You're hurting your own product.
Yep.
Like, I get that.
It's like when you become bigger than your own product too. Like, let your product fly without you.
All right, back to the fun moments. I'm gonna skip the one that I have because I'm gonna save the last. The lore building overall, we already talked about it, is great.
Yep.
Sets up the idea of the Jedi Council. Palpatine. Senator Palpatine. The idea of like the Senate itself. The Supreme Chancellor. Hey, we lost faith in you. Put in those, working his words. You can already see he is like. You get the idea that like he is begin like when he's Darth Sidious, it's very obvious to begin with. But it's interesting because like when you first watch the movie for the first time, you think he's just being genuine.
Yeah.
And I do really like how they played that.
I do like that trope, and it did work very well. It's like looking at Daenerys Targaryen the same way if you think about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
If you like paid attention to what she was doing, you'd be like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that makes sense. They could they could have bridged it a lot better than they did.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of there, for that one, sure. But like, this is the kind of similar concept, right?
Yeah.
Same person, they try to like, you don't know.
Mm-hmm. All right, last thing I want to talk about, the last fun moment, probably the best moment of this entire movie. Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
This is like...
That was an exciting... That's what makes the movie great. Like, that scene was clutch.
The tension where, like, between the barriers...
Yep.
And, like, Darth Maul, you can see he's a force to be reckoned with. He's a fucking fighter. And then he kills Qui-Gon Jinn right there and then.
Yep.
And there's a cool callback, too, in Rebels. Because he does that move with Obi-Wan. in that show.
Yep.
And he blocks it, and that's how he kills him.
Yep.
And I really think that was a cool ass callback that they did there. But I just love that tension, though. He kills his master. He's just staring at Obi-Wan, going back and forth. The wall barrier goes up, and they just, boom, attack right away. And you just, like, that moment, I'm like, this is great. This is wonderful.
It was. That was like what the ending scene, the whole fight scene was phenomenally done.
Yeah.
Like, they put all their effort there, and they said everything else.
The lightsaber battles in the prequels,
so good.
It is good. It's like, it's peak athletic. I do like some of the lightsaber fights in the sequel trilogy.
Yep.
Empire Strikes Back is pretty good too, for like the time. But these ones are just very like choreographic one, like they
very well. It is. It's a dance, right?
But like makes sense because this is like
years later.
Jedi's at their peak. This is Sith.
This is
training for this moment. All right, should we move on? Do you have anything else to say about episode 1?
Oh, not too much about episode 1. It was very decent setup to bring Anakin in. I mean, I say decent. It wasn't like the best writing ever.
Oh, the C-3PO thing I hated.
Yeah, that was also... Yeah. Some of that stuff, Anakin was a little bit unbelievable, but it was a good kind of setup to understand kind of a little more lore building of what's about to come. So everyone kind of knew this person, what they became. So now you're excited to watch the second one in a way because you still want to see how Anakin grows into because they portrayed him as such a nice person. And see how he becomes such a villain.
And then 10 years later, I just had the thought. They could have done a lot better transitioning Anakin than showing his anger.
Yes. But that's what made the story exciting. That's why it's kind of disappointing for a lot of people in the writing aspect of it because they could have done a lot more of the showing the transition. They kind of like picking up the pace at the end. Like pick. Just like Game of Thrones, same way.
Yeah. All right.
Finish your stories, please, for the love of God, people.
I'm going to redo this. Then 10 years later, we get episode 2. Anakin's now 19. It's 10 years. What do you give? All right. What do you give Attack of the Clones?
2.
Yeah. It's a 2. All right, I give it a
2.
I give it a 2. I'm like, it's an intriguing story that's muddled with bad effects, bad writing, and harms itself by splitting up Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yep.
And I'm like, this, because that's what this movie is. Padme comes to Coruscant. She's no longer the queen. She's the senator. They don't really, I think they explained it.
Yeah, very shortly.
In like a line that I don't remember. I think it's just they're now a Democrat or a Republican or
Republic or whatever you want to call it. Yep.
Yeah. Or I believe the queens like they rotate out.
Yeah, or whatever it is.
Like they're
not.
They
gave it a short explanation to kind of like, oh well, that's interesting.
But she shows up. There's an assassination attempt. Then Obi-Wan and Anakin split from there.
Yeah, which that makes sense.
Obi-Wan goes to track down the bounty hunter. And Anakin gets to guard his love.
Yeah.
And this is, like, when you think about the character, like, the differences of the characters, like, in their age, it's not bad, but, like, when we first meet them, which is, like, Anakin's 9 and Padme's 14, and now, like, they see each other for the first time in 10 years, and, like, they fall in love. It's kind of creepy. If you think about it.
Yeah, I think they could have did the transition better. Like, how did they fall in love? That's where the writing was horrible. All right, Anakin just established it's a 2 because of the lore and the funness of it. I don't think if we actually, the more and more I think about it now, it's like a 1 plus.
No, it's not trash.
It's not trash.
It's not trash. It may be 2- if you want to go that route.
Yeah, 2-. That's what I meant. 2-.
2- maybe. I still give it 2 because I'm like it's intriguing.
It does a lot. There's a lot of neat things that do happen.
But I'm like, the characters are just going side quests in this movie. That's why it's weird. Like, what's the plot? Oh, there's an assassination attempt. They move out. Anakin explore, like, they talk philosophy and then fall in love on Naboo. The philosophy's horrible. I hate sand. It's coarse. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. Also, they fucked up by hiring Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. I'm gonna say it. I saw a post when somebody asked, does Hayden Christensen get too much hate for that movie, like for his job? I'm like, in a way he does, because like if you get like casted for a big role, like if someone's like, hey, you want to be Batman in a big DC movie? Like if James Gunn asks you to be Batman, you're not turning that down.
Yep.
However, he was poorly cast because Anakin is such a nuanced character. There is so much depth to him.
Yeah.
He is a good character who is deeply flawed by the fact that he has anger, he has rage, and he cares more about the family than the Jedi Code.
Yep.
That is fascinating. Hayden Christensen has no range. He is a one type, like he plays a very straight man. That's it. He doesn't really have much range.
Yeah, I mean, look at the movies that he was in, like Jumper and a couple other movies like that.
You think you're great?
He's too... It's like the same reason why I hate the Joker, right? When you have a character so weirdly diabolical driven,
Yeah.
you need that personality change. But like mismentioned the Joker, how they portrayed the Joker versus, Anakin, the same way. We need that character that can be smart, cool, calm, collected.
I don't know who does the voice in the Clone Wars, but I feel like he does a good job as a voice actor. And then
turning it over in those angry moments to show like the emotional change in the body.
Yeah.
I don't think Hayden Christensen had. Never did have.
No, he did. I feel like he did his best in episode 3. We'll get here. But in this movie, he was just god awful.
Yep. To show the love moments too, like why you're falling in love with this person. Yeah. I agree.
It's like watching a piece of wood fall in love with a girl who is also like very like a stale actress. Natalie Portman, I feel like is a little stale sometimes, and like it feels like it's just a piece of wood falling in love. That's what.
Yeah, Natalie Portman, as far as like range goes, she's a very romantical styled person.
Yeah.
But as far as like a fighter, they try to make her seem off as like, sorry, Natalie Portman, even at Thor: Love and Thunder, you don't pull it off. The fighting,
it's
conniving style.
Writing wise, I don't mind the outline of the movie. I don't mind the outline.
Yeah, the outline's good. I can attest the outlines. I mean, the idea of where they're going, the outline, maybe keeping Obi-Wan and Anakin together might have made more sense, but
it would have made more sense. But like, I don't mind the idea of like Padme and Anakin like going off and falling in love. You need like that story needs to be there because they also have a lot of moments where they talk politics. They talk about their philosophy, and Anakin basically talks about like his mom, and there's that whole side quest with his mom, and he kills the Tusken Raiders, and it's hard to believe that he murdered all of them because it's just not well shown or portrayed.
Yeah.
And then he makes the whole pact like, I will make sure that everyone I love doesn't die. And like talking philosophy and talking about the whole like, hey, I want to fall in love with you even though it's against the Jedi Code, that's fucking fascinating. That's a fascinating story to me.
Yep. How it's portrayed?
It portrayed, yeah, it's like two pieces of wood going through that. And the writing is worse. Yeah,
exactly. That's why it's like maybe it was the writing. Like, if you get, that's the thing too. Like acting, I don't know. I'm not an actor or actress. Maybe somebody else that's out there can tell me. If you get a bad script and you're given a script like that, can you do that range in general? Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe you're like, I don't know how to do this because it's horrible enough. But
Obi-Wan's side quest is also weird in this. Because he goes to find the bounty hunter that tried to kill Padme. And then he goes to Camino. Am I saying that right? Camino,
yeah.
He goes to Camino. And the bounty hunter is the one that made all the clones. Like, he just stumbles upon this clone army that, like, they were talking, like, we want more forces to fight a war.
Yeah.
Against the Separatists, which is now a thing. We'll get into that. And I'm like, this is such happenstance. Like, you just happen to find it. Like, the Jedi were already doing this 10 years before, but no one knew. It was a Jedi doing this in secret with Count Dooku. Yep. Like, what? Like, you just randomly stumble upon this? Also, if, like, Jango Fett is, like, the donor of this, why the fuck is he out doing jobs?
Yeah, right?
Like, no,
why is he still in the field?
Yeah, like,
That's nuts.
You're important. Why are you taking on, like, these type of hits that give you this public attention?
Yep.
On the most populated planet in the world to, like, a target that's very closely assembled to the Jedi. It just, like, doesn't, like, that's unbelievable to me.
It's kind of the story. Like, they wrote almost a too unbelievable. Like, oh, I just happen to do this. I happen to do that.
And then Count Dooku should have been the first film.
Yeah.
He's the big villain. It's like, who the fuck's Count Dooku?
Where'd this guy come from?
And here's the thing. Dooku is exciting. He's an exciting character. He's a Jedi that betrayed the Jedi. And he's not technically Sith, even though he is Sith, but like to them he just is somebody who's like, yeah, I don't believe you. I want to leave these other planets and go against the Republic.
He has a neat story.
And I'm like, his story makes sense. Like, the Republic kind of, I want to say they're incompetent, but you see, like, their flaws.
Yeah, you see the flaws through him. They could have definitely explored that a little more. That's my stressful with the character. They could have explored that character. Why?
And they do in the Clone Wars, but it should have been.
But for the movie first, it's because it's the movie first. Like, they didn't do enough to show this character to be a good villain, and that's why I'm giving this a 2 or even a 2-. Is like,
yeah,
same qualities.
I'm writing my notes. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even like the hit seems forced, separates from the main character.
Yeah.
Putting Anakin with Padme is like the dumbest idea ever. Because like the whole Jedi code is not to fall in love, not to have sex. You're part of the cult. Yeah, and it is a cult. It's a cult. We'll talk more into that once we're done. Why would you put a 19-year-old kid?
First off, one they don't necessarily fully trust yet because they don't know about his balance of the Force. And then with that,
why would you put him in that situation?
Yep.
Plus,
that's why it's on them.
People can read his emotions. They should have been able to tell his emotions about Padme.
It didn't make any sense.
None of it.
Somebody they don't. Yeah, it was horribly written. That's why I was like, oh, what were you thinking? Would you like think of the world concept when you're writing this for a second?
Also, the whole idea of like the clones and like the Jedi and the Republic was like, oh, I guess we'll take these clones. Like that. How is no one like being super sus?
Yeah, exactly.
We're bringing Among Us in it. You're playing with the Among Us figurine. I actually wrote it in here. Like, the clones being created is super sus. Like, someone should know something's afoot. If like, hey, we need an army. Oh, hey, we built an army 10 years ago.
Yeah,
it's
we
all
got
ready for you. It's all ready for you.
Ready.
Like,
let's go.
What? What?
Sounds good to me, sir.
We'll
Put
take
them
it.
together. Yep. What? Senate approves. I mean, that's...
And the fact, like, how fast-paced it did, too, is...
Yep.
Weird. I never really knew this until, like, I read the plot. I didn't realize the Trade Federation and the Separatists were different groups. They happen to be working together, but they're different groups.
I don't know that either. I might have to relook and reading through that.
I mean, we watched the movies.
Yeah.
But, like, when I read it, I'm like, oh...
Yeah, it does make sense now that you say it.
Like, the Trade Federation is its own thing. Like, I don't know if it's a planet or if it's, like, a group of planets. And the Separatists is, the ones who broke away from the Republic, and it's led by Dooku. They're all working together. They're all working with Sidious.
Yeah, which makes sense. But, I mean, yeah, I didn't know they were technically two separate groups. I thought they're all working. Well, they have one common.
So what do you think? All right, let's move on in the movie. What do you think about Anakin killing all those Tusken Raiders?
I mean... we all knew at the point Anakin was going to become who he was.
Yeah.
I just wish they would have expanded more on the story and the protection side of the family.
I feel like it was too harsh.
I feel like it was a little too harsh, too.
This movie is very, like, black and white, and, like, they show Anakin good, and then when he goes bad, he goes, like, crazy bad.
That's what I think that this one did a horrible job with.
It's
like, the writing.
Hard
this is where
to
it goes back to the writing. Anakin killing them. If there was more of a story to why he had to kill them, rather than... I just killed them, and that's it. You're like, well, what were they doing? Were they torturing people? Did you have to absolutely save them in a certain way? Give Anakin the reason to kill, not just like, I just killed them. Basically.
Or just if he killed, like, a few of them, not just the entire village. He just killed a few of them and then killed whatever he could on his way out.
Yeah, just to follow his integrity of what he's doing, trying to protect his family. Enough just to protect his family, not enough to murder a whole population. That's weird. It was too much.
It was a little too much. I'm like, it's hard to believe. This movie is hard to believe.
It's hard to believe now on top of the original movie they put out, and that's why this trilogy gets a lot of crap is because the writing was so bad.
It's bad. The
lore building is so good.
So
that's where it gets so hard.
He gets. I forget how he gets to Obi-Wan. I think Obi-Wan made some. Obi-Wan goes to Geonosis because he tracks Boba Fett.
Yep.
And the whole Obi-Wan sucks at being a pilot, and he complains about it, but somehow gets away from Boba Fett. Or not Boba Fett. I keep saying Boba Fett. He's
Jango.
there. Boba was there, but it's Jango Fett. They're practically the same person. It's the same DNA.
Same shit. You knew what you're going with.
Same actor, too.
Yep.
Tamara Morrison?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I might have got his first name wrong. He was good. I liked his character in that. I thought he did a good job. So they go to Geonosis. Obi-Wan sneaks on the planet, and they find out that they're working together, and then gets captured. Anakin and Padme go. They find the factory somehow. Happenstance. Anakin loves doing that happenstance.
Yeah.
And they find there's the whole factory scene where they're like going on the conveyor belts. I always get confused. I'm like, why is this a thing? Like, I'm not interested in them like stumbling upon a factory. Like, that could have been like one of those things that's told or shown quickly. Like, hey, they have a whole factory full of
doing
drones.
this, yeah.
But like the droids are already like known. They're a known
Yeah, it wasn't like you were
army.
surprised, like, oh boy, seeing the factory. Yeah, I get that, but whatever. It was fine.
They get captured, and then the whole arena thing begins. And for some reason, the Jedi in this situation, like, we're gonna put our whole force to stomp them out.
Yep.
Bad idea.
Yeah, when is that ever a good idea?
Yeah, let's just put all our eggs in one basket. It's not a trap.
Yep.
Where's General Akbar in this situation? They'd be like, it's a trap. It's obvious. I don't mind like this final scene, but I would say it's not like as great as you think it is.
Yeah, I agree.
But we get to see a bunch of Jedi in the fight. We get to see Mace in action, Samuel L. Jackson with the purple lightsaber. You get to see Yoda in action a little bit. Obi-Wan and Anakin both working. Padme gets a moment.
Yeah.
Jango gets killed by Mace, I believe.
Yep.
And then Boba looks upon the helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
The helmet's still on. Still a Mandalorian.
Yep.
I thought it was fine. It was okay. And then I forget they go to another part of Geonosis and they're going on. Padme falls and Anakin's like, I gotta go save her. And like,
the clear love connection kind of showing.
I do like that scene. I think that was well done. But then the end fight scene where Obi-Wan and Anakin both get their ass kicked by Count Dooku, and then Yoda has to essentially saved the day.
Yep.
But I will say seeing Yoda in action is great. But the end fight scene just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of weird. I mean, Yoda's a great character. That's where I think devolving into Yoda's character, too. A little bit. Like, they could have did some more backstory. The writing was just terrible.
Yeah.
Writing is terrible. Lore building, great. Writing, terrible.
Okay, then maybe this movie is a 2-. That's like when I talk about it more.
Yeah,
like,
the more and more I'm thinking about it, yeah. I can't get over how poor the writing was.
It's not trash. It's just,
Yeah, like you said, this whole trilogy, I don't think it's as bad as people say. Like, this is never not watchable. I think it's very watchable for the lore.
Oh, yeah.
Very fun.
And I like the Shakespearean aspect of it. I miss it. I hope like Star
fun,
Wars
good,
just gets back to the Shakespearean.
You're right, 2-.
2-. I'm
Get their
changing
ass
it.
kicked. Yoda comes in, saves him, but Yoda's amazing. I love Yoda.
Last,
That's why I want more Yoda, because he came up and just like...
he's so bad. So, hey,
like,
more Yodas to come. We'll talk about Yoda more.
Hopefully.
I will say this, though, before we're moving on, unless you have something else to say. It's a really weird start to the Clone Wars. Like, this movie was just a weird start to the Clone Wars. Like, not the series, the television series, or the movie that we...
Just the idea of it, yeah.
Or the movie that we're not going to talk about, because to me, it's just Clone Wars pilot episode.
Yep.
Like, the movie's not great. Not worthy of mentioning. We'll talk about it when we talk about the shows and whenever we do that.
Yeah, exactly. No, but
it's just a weird... It's just a
the setup
weird
is
start
interesting. Like, you said, they like just whiffed.
Yeah.
How does someone not know?
All right. Do you have any more thoughts on episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
No, not really. I think that's one of my worst favorites.
All right. Let's get to the fun one.
All right. Yeah. There we go. Now we're
Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. You want to do your rating, or should I do my rating?
I think I did mine twice now. Let's see what you say.
All right. I gave it a 4-.
Whoa!
It's peak Star Wars. Like, it's peak Star Wars. The plot is amazing. It's fast-paced and fascinating. That's dragged down by bad acting, writing, and even though it's the best effects of the prequels, it's still bad effects.
Yeah, I guess I didn't rank it too far. I was giving it a 3+, so I wasn't quite...
Okay.
We're only one off, I guess, you think about it.
I enjoyed this movie. This movie is so, like, is by far the best movie in the prequel.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it's still like it has its flaws. It's a flawed movie.
Very, very much so.
And the writing's still not great, even though there's great moments.
Yep.
All right. I thought the first sequence was great and exciting. I love when movies do this. I love when movies start out with a great, exciting scene.
Yeah, they kick it right off the bat, and you're like, whoa, all right, I'm in.
And we get to see, like, our characters at their best, doing their best, before we get into the main plot. Because it gives us a good baseline. Like, hey, this is where this character is at.
Where's the character at? The growth that they had from the last time of failing with Count Dooku and where they're all
3
going.
years have passed.
Right, so they're showing, like, they've learned quite a bit. This has been a time.
Yeah, and like you get to actually see that difference. Like Anakin saving Obi-Wan. Anakin's being like this fucking awesome masterclass fighter.
Yep.
In 3 years, and outclassing Obi-Wan. At least like with the talent.
Yeah, seemingly outclassing Obi-Wan or whatever.
It's just exciting. The idea like the Chancellor's been kidnapped, and you know who the Chancellor is at this point. He's been kidnapped. And you have to save him from General Grievous and Count Dooku on a ship that's leaving Coruscant because there is an invasion of Coruscant. You're like, wait, what the fuck? We're starting here?
Yeah.
At this moment? I'm in. Let me grab my popcorn and start the movie because I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. I should have already had it. Now I can't even pick up my popcorn. It's kind of what the feeling is. We're starting right off the rip. Nice.
And it's exciting because we start with an amazing matchup between a rematch between Dooku and Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yep.
Obi-Wan gets his ass kicked again. But Anakin doesn't, because Anakin is now a pretty masterclass fighter.
Yep. Shows how much Anakin has grown from that first fight, too. That's what I'm saying. Like, it shows the growth of Anakin.
And the Clone Wars do a great job of
this. That's true, too.
Especially in the finale, like the finale that happens at the same time as Revenge of the Sith. Great. So the first sequence, great and exciting. It's obvious that we missed an entire 3 years of war stories between the two, but we don't need to see them. We do see them in the Clone Wars, but we don't need to see them in the movies. We just need we just need them to show us that there's change, and they do that. They do a great job of it for the most part. They do well. I will say that it is somewhat jarring though, because it's like Anakin was this, essentially this young child, and he was a naive teenager to, he's the best Jedi.
Yep. It
is a little jarring, but they did do a good job of showing it at least. But it's jarring for the fact that it's just like when you...
Jarring, but it does show growth.
It does. Grievous, they show Grievous right away. And Grievous is an exciting villain. Like, I like the concept of General Grievous.
Yes.
However, like Count Dooku, where the fuck was Grievous in episode 2?
Good question. I don't know.
Grievous should have been in there right away.
They should have been. Like this is where the writing gets a little like shaky. But yeah,
like,
nothing you can say about that. That's where I'm like,
if you're writing each movie like individually one at a time, you're thinking, we should add another character, and you retroactively fit. It makes sense.
Yep, I
get it. But like, if you plan this as a whole trilogy to begin with,
should have been in there.
Grievous should have been in there. Anakin's frustrated, so after they do the whole sequence, they save the Chancellor. He kills Dooku, which is weird a little bit.
Yes,
like it is and it isn't. Like he massacres all of the Tusken Raiders, so like he is capable of killing.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be for a reason.
And like, this one, hey, he's unarmed. Kill him.
Yeah,
kill him now.
We captured him. No. Get him.
But I do think it was important because like you got to show Anakin as like this evil person. But it makes sense. Like, hey, if you kill him, the war is over.
Yep.
Like he's the leader. Kill him now. I fucking love it. Like, his evil voice comes out. Yes. His Darth Sidious voice. Kill him. All right, so they save the whole planet. Anakin does this cool pilot shit. I'm like, this is great, wonderful. You see Grievous. You see the red. I forget their name. The guys with the energy swords, in the red trooper suit.
The Red Guardians?
Praetorian Guards.
Praetorian Guards, yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah. I'm like, we get to see them. our friend Brandon's like, "Ooh, these guards are silly." I'm like, they've been there the entire time.
They're pretty cool.
They're just small. They don't do much until later on. Mandalorian and Last Jedi, but they're there.
They've always been there.
So Anakin, they do the council. They don't make him the master, but he puts him on the council, and he's frustrated. And I understand that Anakin's frustration during this. And I do. And I do like how they put this. However, he's only 23.
Yeah.
He's a 23-year-old. And
but
I'm like...
This is where I do like the story writing in this, because I see the kind of point that they're trying to make, right? Like, just because they're young, they're just getting shafted because of his age. It's crazy. Yeah. The frustration that builds because of that, and it's kind of why he turns evil. Frustration.
It's weird because the Jedi's like, okay, if you would have just made him a master and not ask him to spy on his friend, maybe this all is avoided.
Yep.
But then you see the Palpatine, puppet strings that's happening here too, which is great. I'm going to make this point because I just had the thought pop in my head. It seems like George Lucas or whoever helped him write this had this movie planned, and the other two was just them trying to get to this movie.
Yeah, wrote it backwards.
Which I think is why the other movies suck, because he just didn't have good ideas to get there. But this movie has great writing. I don't know if I'd say great writing, but it has a very
more enriched writing.
Enriched writing. It's intriguing. The story setup's fucking fascinating. Yep. The fact that he has to spy the politics of the situation. Obi-Wan, I don't like politics. It's cool to see Anakin and Darth Sidious beforehand, and you slowly see, hey, he's getting those thoughts.
The influence of the politics.
Padme has kids, and he gets the thoughts that Padme is gonna die, and you see the Chancellor just twisting, the gears turning in his head. He's taking his strings. He's manipulating
the story, manipulating how it's going to happen.
Hey, I just lost my apprentice in Dooku, but I already have a new apprentice. He just doesn't know it yet. However, Sidious turning on the Jedi was exciting to see. It was exciting to see all of this come to fruition. Anakin turning, though, wasn't great.
Anakin turning and murdering all the kids was weird.
It was. I didn't even get there. So the whole idea of he is Darth Sidious. He tells the Jedi Council, Mace Windu and a bunch of Jedi come, and that scene is amazing. And Mace is like, we got to kill him, and he's like, he's unarmed. No, let him stay in trial. No, he's too powerful. And Mace, it makes sense what he's trying to do, right? Yeah. But you can kind of see Anakin being like, wait, no, this is my friend. I don't want him to die.
Yep. Which doesn't make sense to his other killings, but yeah, then poor writing again.
But it's his friend.
Yeah.
It's someone he
cares about, I guess.
Yeah, and who's actively trying to do things to protect Padme, even though he's in his mind he's doing that. So the him killing Mace Windu in that point and that makes sense. I think that scene is great, and you get to see why his skin's all This is very much the individual is the enemy to the individual. They all step on their own foot. No. They all step on their own foot. The Jedi could have been fine if they would have just respected Anakin. Yep. Emperor Palpatine wouldn't be this. Darth Sidious wouldn't be this ugly looking thing if he wasn't electrocuting Mace Windu. Padme would have survived if Anakin would have not killed her. Yep. It's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies type of thing. They're all their worst enemies. Yep. I agree with that statement. And it's interesting. It's fun to watch.
It's good to see how it plays out.
Yeah. But Anakin killing kids doesn't work.
Yeah, that was just weird.
It should have been more of a scene where the trooper, he led the troopers, and he's struggling with the fact that what he's doing. And then there's one kid that comes up and attacks him, and he kills the kid.
Kills one kid, yeah.
He kills one kid that's on video that makes Padme and Obi-Wan turn against him. But it shows the complexity of the situation, which is Anakin's not fully onto this, but he's like he joined the ship. He's on board to save Padme, but he's struggling initially.
Yeah.
And that would makes a lot more sense to when he turns back to good.
Yeah, exactly.
But this, where he's just like, I am pledged to you, my master. I am now evil. I will kill all the children for you. It doesn't work.
Doesn't add up.
It doesn't
to
work.
A character
it's not
arc
believable.
change. Yeah, it's not believable. It's right, and that's where I struggle with the story. That's why I give it a 3+ instead of a 4 minus.
I still think it's great, though.
Still great overall.
Here's one of the reasons why I think it's great. Order 66. It's scary, it's exciting, and it's well executed.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Haha.
I wrote that in there.
That was horrible.
Thank you.
That was amazing, though.
But like all the sequences where like the Jedi and like the music where the Jedi are turning.
Yeah.
Like a Zoom type. Like that was horrifying to see. Like you get to see the turn. Like, oh shit, it's happening. All the Jedi are like dying.
Yeah, the turn. The collapse on its own cult.
It's
really
sad. The
great
music. John Williams just does a good job with that score. Like it just.
Yeah, you get to see the turn. You can feel the tides change and shift towards the dark side. It felt really good. The score was amazing with it going along. Oh.
And Obi-Wan just took care of General Grievous, which I think is a cool. It's again a side quest for Obi-Wan, but I like that moment.
Yep.
I thought that moment was well done. General Grievous dies like immediately.
Yep.
Little blaster to the heart. Such a fascinating villain. Should have been around longer. Not in this movie though. Should have just been built up.
Yep.
But yeah. Sidious versus the Jedi. Great. I love seeing him in action with like his lightsaber and fighting, and basically like won everybody except for Mace Windu.
Yes.
Like he just took out the Jedi.
Everybody, yeah.
And I love how the Clone Wars also backs this fact up that he's a great lightsaber. Like he doesn't seem like he would be good at fighting with a saber, but here he is chopping up the people in pieces.
Yeah, exactly. It adds to the lore.
Anakin darkly murdering everyone on the when he goes to I'm blanking on the planet, the volcano planet. Starts with an M, I'm pretty sure.
Shoot, maybe because it's so hot in here I am too, because it's pretty hot up here.
It is. Oh, why can't I think of the planet? It's literally right there on the comic.
It's right in the front. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna look this up. But yeah, when he goes to the planet and he kills like everyone from the Trade Federation and Separatists, like all the leaders, I'm like, this is satisfying for some reason. This is just cool to see. Like Anakin's just now evil and killing everyone. I'm like, this scene makes sense. Him murdering everyone, that makes sense to do.
Knowing what happened to everybody and what happened to everything and what ended up happening, yeah. Like at that point, he's already gone. Mm-hmm. The kid one was still like should have been his final struggle. But they could have shelved that a little better to that. Maybe he does kill all the kids, but they show it in a lot more of a struggling way.
Exactly.
Until every kid he kills splits his soul a little more or something like that. But whatever. Yeah.
Mustafar. Can't believe I forgot Mustafar. Wonderful.
Fudge, how do we forget about that? It is hot up here.
It is.
I am sweating.
It's like one of the hottest days for humidity wise. It's like the hottest day. Hottest summer in the whole earth. Global warming apparently still isn't a thing to some people. Climate change. But goddamn, it's hot.
It is hot in this room.
It is like Mustafar in here. Anakin. Yes, we just talked about darkly murdering everybody. Padme shows up with Obi-Wan. I love the politics of this too, with like Obi-Wan and Yoda talking like what to do in the situation.
Yep.
I love that aspect of it. And like them realizing the Jedi Order is done.
Yep.
I will say, the Padme, Obi-Wan, Anakin scene is fucking tragic. It is like sad. Ewan McGregor. Oh, we didn't talk MVP of episode 2. Ewan McGregor. Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Episode 2 is too garbage to even have an MVP.
It's Obi-Wan though.
It's Obi-Wan though. Yep.
Obi-Wan, though, for this scene, fucking phenomenal. Hayden Christensen, no. He plays a very one-note Anakin. It works. Kind of. It works in this scene. But Obi-Wan's just like, you can see, like, he didn't believe, but he saw the video, and he's like, no, that couldn't be right. But, like, he knows it's true, and he goes to Mustafar, and he's like, you betray, the whole betrayal. You
Yep.
turned her against me. It's like, it's tragic because like Padme is, like, I'm not going with you. Like, where this isn't going to be a thing. You killed children.
Yep.
And then he force chokes her, and she essentially goes into a death spiral somehow.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense, but people get chopped up in half, come back and survive, fall in a giant hole, come back and survive, but Padme gets force chokes once and it's just
game over. Yeah,
game
exactly.
over. It is what it is. But the whole, like, you are the chosen one, like that aspect of
the whole scene is great. That's why it's so well remembered.
It's so just legendary.
Yep.
And Ewan McGregor is the reason why.
Yep.
I'm putting he's the MVP.
For sure. Yeah,
of the trilogy.
Reason. The way he played
This
that
movie-
emotion too was so good compared to what you seen his other character. Like you could see the change in his own. Like,
Yeah,
whoa.
which is why it's sad because it should have been Anakin. But that's where we get Hayden Christensen. We almost got Leonardo DiCaprio playing Anakin Skywalker, and that would have been amazing. I don't know if Leo would be the best Anakin, but I know he would have played that character with depth.
Yep.
And that would have been great to see.
It would have been so great to see like more emotion with Hayden. Like I said, the problem with his is acting. Like he is very more one-dimensional actor, which is very good in those shows that does it. Like I said, like Jumper, but yeah, it's too one-dimensional. He didn't show the emotional change that you wanted to see. Where even McGregor in that moment, he showed it.
And in that one, it's very one note.
Yep.
Like, don't make me do this, or something about the consequences. And you will try. I do like that line. That line was good. But I don't know. It's just, I feel like there should have been more nuance in the situation where Anakin didn't want to fight, or you clearly see the rage that Hayden's portraying, and it makes sense.
Yep.
It's just, it feels like we're dealing with a completely different
What
character.
doesn't make sense, though, I will say about this whole fight scene is like, I don't know, granted, there's a lot of stuff going on in his head, but they felt the dark side a little too much, I think, for the fighting ability that it took out of Anakin.
Yeah.
Anakin was bajillion times better than
Obi-Wan.
And they're like, nah.
But here's the thing.
Too much going on there.
Anakin is pure talent.
Yep.
Obi-Wan isn't talent. Obi-Wan's not to say he's not talented, but Obi-Wan's not like the most talent. He's not a highly gifted Jedi.
Yeah.
Whereas he is just fundamentally sound. He's like Tim Duncan, if we're going to use this like athletics.
Hey, a very underrated Tim Duncan. Why do people give Kobe so much credit? That guy's amazing.
Anakin's Kobe.
Fair.
Or Michael. Or LeBron. He's one of those three. Like, power-wise, he's like in that conversation of greatest of all time. Tim Duncan,
No one ever
he's not
talks about him.
flashy, but he does the job, right?
Yep.
Obi-Wan is Tim Duncan. He does the job. He is just a very fundamentally sound fighter. He's not the best fighter. He's not the best pilot. He's just fundamentally sound. He gets the job done. But this fight scene was great.
Oh,
It was legendary. This is peak Star Wars.
this is a very good fight scene. It's so memeable.
It's just peak. It's very memeable. I wrote that too. Very, I have the high ground. It's such a silly line too. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Like, wait, what?
Why is that so important?
Like,
I mean, I know it is if you have like a bow. You got a goddamn sword. I feel like it'd be hard to protect the lower part of your body.
There's a point to it, but like if they were training, and like, hey, don't fight someone on the high ground, like,
Yeah.
if they have they have
Just
the
a
advantage.
random statement.
It's so random. Don't try it, Anakin. I have the high ground. And he does the
How good
flip.
of a fighter Anakin
He does
is.
the same trick that he did against Darth Maul, and then he just like cuts him down,
Yep.
and that's how it ends. And it's like,
You see him burning, yeah, and they see him saved.
I will say the fucking score of that fight scene.
Star Wars score is too good. That's also what makes those
It's
movies.
running in my head right
It's
now.
the score and the lore.
It's running in my head, and I'm like just pumped.
Yeah, the score and the lore of Star Wars is incredible.
It reminds me of God of War. The score of God of War.
Yes.
Because God of War, at least the first trilogy, is really good.
Great score.
Great score. And it reminds me a lot of like that Greek,
Yep.
the score from like God of War. So great. Anakin burning is mean, but also tragic. Like, it's such a tragic thing too, because he's like, and Obi's like, I don't want to do this, but like, dude, if you keep going, I'm gonna do it. Okay, so, I hate you. Like, also seems very one note. Like the I hate you point. Like it's like, you come on, man.
Should have been like more of like, you guys did this to me. Like, why wasn't I a master? You guys didn't trust me and stuff. Like, they could have put so much more richness to it. That's the part where I get the writing part. Maybe that was his line or something.
It was. Like, I still think it's great. It could have been epic. This
this
movie
could
should
have
have
been
been a 5. This movie should have been better than Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Better than Last Jedi. Better than Rogue One. I know, like, Last Jedi is so polarizing. Some people think it's great. Some people not. I'm the one who thinks it's great. Spoiler alert for when we get there. I might change my mind. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie, again, this is what
should have been a 5.
You could have wrote it just like, that's where like, I can't blame it because it is really well done. It's a great movie. But if we were to blame
the plot was good.
It could have easily put a little more rich into it, and this could have been one of the greatest movies of all time.
I have more to this. Jar Jar Binks as a senator is like, wait, who fucking made this decision?
Yeah, that.
But then again,
Jar Jar Sith. That's where it comes from.
Jar Jar Sith. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, because like, there's no fucking.
He was working with Palpatine all along.
There's no way. There's no way. And people are like, that guy. I agree.
We're gonna vote. We're gonna vote him. Me's a senator now.
I mean, no offense if anybody's like that in real life. I guarantee we're not like.
Oh man, like
you can be president.
The American.
That'll be all right.
The United States of America isn't much better.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying. I guess
we got one actor.
That's why it happens. That's how it works.
We had one actor and one reality TV star as as president.
So
already.
that's how it happens right there.
And a lot of people want Dwayne Rock Johnson as president.
Jar Jar Binks, I guess, makes sense. You're right. Shoot, why'd you point that out?
We didn't realize it was based on real life until now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I have more. Yoda versus Sidious is pure fan service.
Yep.
Like that fight to me seemed a little unnecessary.
Yeah, it was all fan service for Yoda.
It was all fan service.
So many people have a fan service to learn more about Yoda, like me, because he's just too incredible to not know.
I thought the CGI of it sucked though, because it was all CGI, and like
yeah,
I like the
fight
that like in that senator area. I'm like, that's cool.
The CGI in general,
but it wasn't great. The CGI wasn't bad for Obi-Wan versus Anakin though.
They spent a lot of time on that one. I feel like
it's still like not the best, but it's still pretty. Like it
holds.
It holds. It still holds where the rest of these movies, no. Yeah, I wish the scene was more practical. Yoda running away, is this a testament of his character? Because I feel like Yoda would have held on longer. Because if he kills Sidious, it's over. All he has to do is kill Sidious. He got beat up a little bit and ran out.
I don't know.
I feel like
they didn't give Yoda. That's why I like Yoda so much. They didn't give him enough to be what he was in the whole movie franchise.
I understand, like, Yoda was in the original trilogy and they had to show him being there, right?
Yep.
But Yoda's like this great hero, this great character. He is like the best of the Jedi, but I'm like, he ran. He ran away like a little bitch. And I don't like saying that about him. But he did.
That's what's so weird about this character. That's what I said. No one knows. No one even knows about this character at all. They just know he was really, really, really cool, really, really good back then. He did really, really device to Qui-Gon and everybody else. And now you have a scene like that, and you're like, that makes no sense. But he's not your character in the story. It's a weird write-out, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about that blog. The no scene is silly as hell.
Yes.
It seems like you killed Padme. No!
I even hear it.
Right? Great. Like, I feel like I did a bad job, but I know it's exactly how it sounded.
You nailed it. Somehow. Don't know how. But I got you.
It's so bad. Like, I understand like why like somebody would be mad, but like I feel like he did
that
rip
is
up
not the expression.
He did rip up the whole entire room, but the no was just like he destroyed that entire fucking room. You got to see.
You would have been better without words and him just destroying the room,
right? That's why the writing's bad.
No! Writing was very...
I have one question. Why do they separate the twins? It doesn't make sense to me.
That doesn't make sense to this day.
Like, I understand
Didn't
you
want to know
have
they
to
existed.
with
That's
the
about
original
it.
trilogy, but like the whole idea of like, oh, they would be better off being separated. Like, no one knew she had twins.
Yep.
No one. No one knew that. Like, they knew that she died. No one was looking after for Anakin's kids. They don't think Anakin had kids,
Yep.
let alone twins.
Yeah, that separation thing, like, maybe there's a reason. Maybe they think too much darkness could have been created between the two, and there's some other nonchalant. They could have explained that at least. They're like, nah, separate them. Right away.
Right, a better explanation of why. Like, I sure, maybe like, hey,
you take them, you take care of this
he
one.
finds one, he doesn't find both of them. Don't put your eggs in both baskets. But it's like you're also separating like
Two
children. But you know what? That's
Brother,
not.
sister.
You know, that's not against the Jedi. They don't give a shit about families. Like, hey,
Yeah, exactly.
You have force powers. Boom.
Problem solved. That's probably what they're thinking. This one has force powers. This one...
Okay. Should I talk about Clone Wars finale just a little bit before we move into like the afterthoughts of the prequel as a whole?
I think we save that for next time. Because it's getting
I just want to throw in the
Throw in it really quick, yeah.
So I really liked. I didn't watch any other Clone Wars. I've watched the whole series,
Yeah.
but I didn't watch any other Clone Wars except for the last 3 episodes, which ties directly into Revenge of the Sith. Because I wanted to see.
I haven't watched that yet, so that's why you're ahead of me. That's what I said.
You haven't
should
watched it.
probably wait.
You haven't watched it at all.
No, I've watched it, but it's been a hot minute.
This is also peak Star Wars
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
because Maul versus Ahsoka. The idea of like Ahsoka not being mentioned in like episode 3. Again, get it in real world because Ahsoka wasn't a thing then, right?
Yep.
It's just so weird when you think like this is canon events. You think Ahsoka would have been mentioned once, and I get like we all know why. Practically, yeah, you're not gonna put Ahsoka in there. It just seems weird now because like in the
Or
finale,
66 and some of these other Jedis we're finding nowadays too. It's kind of like, well, where in the fuck were they?
but
You know what I mean?
but I really like the idea of like Maul coming back and him just being like, something's happening. You know, like. The Jedi are going to be destroyed. My master's making moves. I don't want to be... Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fascinating. You're dealing with a scared character who is willing to murder and kill to get out of there. He is a scared predator trapped in a corner by a bigger predator. And it is exciting to watch.
Yes.
Also, the fact that it's motion captured with, like, highly detailed animation. Oh, God. It's peak Star Wars.
We'll have to get to that.
We'll get to it. And just like Order 66 from Ahsoka's point of view, great.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. Ahsoka, August 23rd. Y'all. Hoot, hoot, hoodoo, hoodoo,
All right.
hoot, 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 hoot.
Afterthoughts, or do you have any more movies about Revenge of the Sith before we get into this?
No, I think we just go afterthoughts. I think you kind of cleared most of
Okay.
them.
Afterthoughts. Is the Republic a bad government?
I mean, the more and more I watch these shows,
The New Republic is fucking incompetent as hell.
I think the Republic is the whole government in Star Wars. I think overall is not very structured. I think there's very sound people like Qui-Jin and a lot of those people that like that's how the government of the world should be working.
Well, it's a Republic.
I also
so
think the Jedi's really weird. So, like their whole little cult thing is whack.
We'll get in there.
Oh,
But we're talking about the Republic itself because I feel like they were easily manipulated.
yeah, that's where they're a bad government. But
Like, hey, this Supreme Chancellor is not doing great. I vote for a note of no confidence. And then, like, he's out.
yeah, that's it. Didn't take much.
Like, wait, like, that is not based on our government because our government takes forever to do shit.
Well, our cancel culture doesn't know either. So
Well, cancel culture.
it's like a 50-50 split.
Cancel culture just doesn't make sense. I'm not for it mostly, but when it makes sense, it does. It doesn't happen. Ezra Miller, that we already mentioned.
Yeah, the one that does make sense. You're like,
Yeah, they're like, all right, that guy probably should we should cut all ties. Hollywood should cut all ties. Nope, he's gonna star in this movie. We spent too much money on it. I'm like, all right. Just the idea of too, like the Chancellor is way past time. Like he was the Supreme Chancellor for 13 years, and he's past time. He doesn't need to be here anymore.
yeah.
And like I do like the whole like Jedi, like, oh, something's happening. He might be the Sith we're looking for. It's like, no shit, man. Have you seen him work?
Have you seen him?
Let's talk about the Jedi.
Oh boy.
Because like the Jedi, we talked about them being like good versus evil. Them being this really good character.
Doesn't ever seem that way though.
The Jedi seem incompetent, and also when you look at it in a different light, they take children away from families and tell the children not to feel emotions.
Yeah, they basically take emotions out of people.
They're a cult.
They're 100% a cult.
And
the way they interact with stuff, they don't take the logical approach. Like, what is the right thing to do in this moment? They're like, there's a few different characters that kind of go off the Jedi lore, like, which is, again, you get the Qui-Gon, Yoda sometimes even says, yeah, I'll allow it, that kind of stuff. But generally, the whole council they make is
like the Jedi.
Whack.
Like, I get that they're good and they're well intentioned.
Mm-hmm.
They're a well intentioned group, but they're very incompetent in the way they handle things sometimes. And they very much turn into soldiers and knights rather than
questioning about what's the right thing to do.
Yeah, like
they try their best to be their best, but sometimes they don't always do our best, kind of thing.
Yeah, just
that's what I think. Well, it's hard to tell. Like, would I ever be like, "Oh, these people are evil. Send them to the evil side." Like, no, I think they mean well. It's just that they. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's just different. It's cultish.
Like I don't. If I had Force abilities and the Jedi came as a child, but I knew everything I knew about the Jedi, I'm probably turning him down.
I'm gonna say no. Yeah.
Like, not that like the Sith is better, but like then again, like the way they talk about, we see everything from the Jedi perspective. All the Sith are evil. It leads to the dark side of the Force. Let's throw away the Sith aside, because the Sith are evil, right?
Yeah.
They're malintentioned. We've seen what their empire, their government looks like.
That's why I like the idea of a Mandalorian Jedi.
But the idea of like the dark side.
Yeah.
The Jedi call it the dark side because it's evil, right?
Yep.
But really, like Qui-Gon Jinn, I think has this like idea too. I feel like he sees it this way. Like it's not really bad. It's just the other side of the coin.
Yep.
Like there's the light and the dark. There's the yin
Avatar's
and the yang.
perspective. You're the balance.
Yeah.
We should be the balance in the middle. And that's why I like, again, go back to when we talked about the
maybe Anakin, let's talk about the prophecy too. Because I feel like the prophecy never is actually fulfilled.
Yep.
Like the prophecy doesn't make sense. You are the chosen one. You're the one who's supposed to bring balance to the Force. But he kind of did in the way of like, no, he doesn't destroy the evil because the Jedi had it for thousands of years. The universe was imbalanced because the light side was taking over. The Sith weren't a thing.
Yep.
And then the Sith came back and he joined the Sith. Technically, if you think about it from a power standpoint, they did balance out the Force.
Yep.
He wiped out the massive amounts of light Force users.
Yeah.
And then his son killed him and like brought this balance of, hey, there's not a lot of Sith, there's not a lot of Jedi.
Which, I mean, that's technically the prophecy, right? That's, I think, what they're going for. But yeah, that's why I like the idea of a more balanced Jedi, not someone that's so... That's why I like the idea of the Qui-Gon story.
The gray Jedis. Or like just...
Yeah, the guy that
character
takes like light, looks at it from both ways and goes, here. But we'll see if that happens.
I am young.
So my Mandalorian Jedi would have been sick.
Would have been.
Grogu's
still
still
be
there.
a thing.
Come on, Grogu. You can do it, my buddy. A child, you got this.
So MVP, we already talked about this. We have Obi-Wan, Ian McGregor, MVP.
Yep. Definitely.
I think Sidious is great, but should have been shown more.
Yeah.
He could have been. Anakin should have been, but wasn't. Oh, we didn't even talk about the Wookiees.
Oh.
Yoda's little side quest too. It's like, all right, does Yoda really need to know Chewbacca? Come on, George Lucas. We don't need to like.
Yoda was like, as you said, like a character that they had at the beginning, so they put him in here. It seems like there's still that smart, wise teaching character, but put him as an own side quest. Yoda was interesting in the prequels. I will say that that's why it makes him so interesting too. Though, is you have those movies, then you have him in the prequels, and you're like, huh, who is this guy? But anyway, yeah. So that's why it's so interesting.
All right,
I'll allow it.
Final thoughts. Prequels. What would you do the prequels as a whole?
2+.
I'm going to say 3-. As a whole.
Because as a whole...
I'd say 3 minus.
3. You're right. I'd probably go to a 3 minus. 3 minus is a good...
Because it's like, okay, it gets to somewhere good.
It gets to somewhere good. It has a really well lore build in it, like we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. If we viewed it, the trilogy, as its own movie, like a 9-hour movie, or whatever, 6 to 9 hour movie, right?
Yep.
If we treat it as such, this movie is terrible in the beginning, terrible in the middle, but it's pretty good at the end.
Yep.
Like, those type of movies most people enjoy.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's why. The last movie carries it to a 3 minus.
Otherwise, the last movie does carry it a lot.
I get the 2 plus. There's not much difference between a 2 plus and a 3 minus. I'm like, no, it's still good, kind of.
Yeah, it's enjoyable enough to rewatch and watch it again,
makes
and
it
still
good.
Not be like it's not a movie I pick up and go like, "Oh, I ain't watching that again." And it's such a good lore build to it too. Like the whole story, like you said, if you put it all together, that's where I can get the 2 plus 3 minus range.
The lore, and we'll talk about we'll compare the sequels and the prequels because it's such an interesting fascination. Because it's the prequels are great at the lore, but not good at the acting or how they portray the rest of it. The writing's pretty bad. Whereas the sequels, the writing's not great. The writing's still not good. But the lore is like almost non-existent.
Yes.
But the
it's
action and the CGI looks fucking amazing.
But not CGI. For the time was...
The practical effects look great.
But think of the time this was made too. Like that literally blew people's minds.
It was great, but then the writing just
fell a little short, but still pretty good. Yeah. We'll get to that one.
All right. You want to do the outro?
Since this is my show, we got to do the outro, right?
Yeah, I might steal it. So
might steal it.
If it's good enough, I might steal it.
If it is good enough, you might steal it.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
Is that the outro?
I don't have one. I was trying to think of one, and I forgot I need to make it. You're welcome.
You want me to take over and do the outro?
No, we can just say, like, don't evolve me or something.
Or
you need a catchphrase. Like, this is Don Johnson. Oh, sorry, this is Mario. I'm signing off.
It's me, I'm Mario.
I like it. Yeah, you can do your normal outro.
All right. Well,
that was horrible, Jake. Next time we do a better outro.
Next time, do a better outro. All right, this was us. This is Don't Involve Me. Don, a.k.a. Mario.
Yay!
The Star Wars dude. You got Jake, me, also Star Wars dude, and now just a guest on Don't Involve Me as Don's taking over, apparently. Thanks for listening. We're going to do more Star Wars in the future. Maybe in like a month we'll do the original.
Yeah, do the original month, a little less than a month.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
We'll get back into it. We still got Ahsoka too.
Yeah, Ahsoka's coming up. We gotta do that when it comes out. So let's say before Ahsoka we do that, and then talk about the start of what we anticipate for Ahsoka.
There we go.
So before August 23rd, y'all.
We're doing it. We're
doing
the
it's
original.
In the books.
We'll start watching the originals. Yeah, we'll just do the originals.
Yeah.
We'll leave Rogue One and Solo, and we'll do the shows together. That's what I was thinking. We'll do the sequels after that.
Yeah, I agree. Those are like filler.
Wait, do you want to do the originals first, or do you want to do Solo Rogue One?
Originals first, and then Solo Rogue One, because they were made afterwards.
And then prequels?
And they kind of build up that together, and then prequels.
The prequels one, I'm excited to just rip into them. I don't know why. Or the sequels.
Sequels, not prequels. Yeah.
We just
the
ripped
prequels.
into
Yeah, prequels.
I'm excited
to
do it
one more time to see how we think after the originals. Sequels.
All right, check us out on Don't Involve Me, the Facebook page. We're also on Threads. It's a thing. It's the new Twitter. We have Instagram, and we are also on YouTube with some videos with pictures or with video.
Not this time today. You can't see how beautiful I look, but next time you'll see.
Yeah, the sweat just really glows off of you.
Oh yeah, you can just see the shimmer and the gleam.
I am drenched. I feel like I've been in like outdoors in like Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep, I'm gonna turn the car in my AC
all the way up
and go home. All right.
I might take a shower.
Thank y'all.
Horrible. All right. Thanks everyone. This is Don't Involve Me. This is Don. This is Jake. We are out.
Oh.